It's in.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope everyone's keeping safe. Apologies for the crazy haircut at the moment. Well, lack of haircut, should we say. It's getting a little bit long, a little bit unruly, so hopefully before long go out and get it sorted out. But today we've got some really exciting stuff going on. So I've been teasing on my Instagram about these Fender vents that I've been designing and starting to get prototypes. So I had that 3D printed prototype made up just over a week or so ago, and so since then I've adjusted the CAD ever so slightly to sit the surface hopefully a little bit better. Sort of taken a couple more measurements just to get it to sit just right on the fender line. And today I've just had a little package delivered to me with the left and right hand side still using the prototype process, so the surface quality isn't what it's going to be for the final results. So what we're going to do because of that is use some high build primer, do a fair bit of post process to just kind of finish them off and get them smooth, and then I'm going to cover them in a kind of slightly textured paint, so it's going to kind of mimic the normal black bumper kind of plastic grain that you normally get on OEM cars and on the Porsche bits on the lower splitter and stuff on the Cayman. It'll be similar to that. So I'm just going to show you what's turned out. So as you guys will see, this is the original one that I had done. This was just the one side without the tweaks, and then now what we've got is we've got a left and right hand side fender. I think they look pretty cool. We had a little bit of a problem with this one where there was a bit of a split, so I've had to fuse it back together again, but that's fine because it's going to be sanded and it's going to be painted, so you won't see it. The surface quality, I mean, it's okay. As I say, it's a prototype piece using this particular process is FDM, so it's kind of like, in 3D printing terms, it kind of squirts filament through a hot nozzle and it builds it up in layers from the bottom up. There's a couple of different processes, but that's the one that's being used for this because it's quick, cheap and slightly dirty, ready for just doing sort of quick functional prototypes. The final ones are going to be doing a different 3D print process which will give a much better finish throughout, and you won't have any steps or anything because it will be made up slightly differently, which will be cool. So, because there's the post-processing that's going to be needed on these, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to be sanding, priming, building it up, sanding back again, all the boring stuff, so really no one wants to watch that. So I'm going to be doing that now, so bit of a dirty way to rig it up, but when you haven't got a spray booth, car out the garage obviously, and then just hang it up straight off the garage door, job done. Right, so I've just done a bit of post-processing on these vents. I think they've come out pretty damn good, to be honest. Bearing in mind, as I said before, these are still prototypes. The final ones afterwards are going to be done in a slightly different process, which means that none of this post-process is actually going to need to be done. But what I've kind of done is get the light in there, smoothed them off, and used kind of like a textured paint. The paint that I've used is this one here. It's K2 stuff. I find it really easy to use. If you want anything that's kind of like a textured bumper sort of finish, go with that. So what I've started to do is just drill out a couple of the holes on each one, because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take masking tape, and then over here with the car what I'm going to do is I'm going to mask up all of this area so that I can start to make some marks of where I need to cut this, which is going to be interesting. And then I've just been kind of looking underneath, can't really see because there's no light, but just double checking that there's nothing underneath here that I'm going to end up drilling into. There's a few things that are kind of knocking around, but they're not sitting on the surface. So when I make the drill holes to put in the riv nuts, I'm just going to need to be careful not to go all the way through and then straight through whatever's below it. So that's what I'm going to start off with right now, and sort of put you on a little time lapse as I start to measure things up. So I'm just going to mask everything up and measure it up now. Alright, so here we go. So what I've done is I've just kind of given the outline all the way around just in pencil, and then I've just kind of put little X's where these initial bolt holes are going to go for these riv nuts, which are over in here in this little pack. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a drill bit with a kind of punch tool on the end just to do a quick punch on all of these X's, and then we'll get on to the interesting bit, which is going to be actually drilling straight through it. So come with me for what is either going to be really cool or absolutely terrible, and we'll see what happens right at the end. So here we go. Right, so here's the stage I'm at. So basically what I've done is I've drilled out all the holes and I've put in these, which are called riv nuts, and they're basically a rivet, but what they do is they give you a threaded hole, which means that I'm able to fix down. Had a little bit of a cock up with a punch here, accidentally missed it and ended up twatting the side of the car. So anyways, there is a dent there. Luckily that is where it's going to be hidden underneath this fender anyway, so good job. But anyway, you can't help it, these things sort of happen. So yeah, so now what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to take this and I'm going to just bolt it up to the car with all of the bolts and just make sure that everything's kind of all aligned up. I've got the one on the other side, but kind of positioned it where it needs to be, but I need to do the same thing, mask it all up, and also measure both sides, because that will end up being the one thing that probably gets me, where this side's all great and looks brilliant, and that side I completely cock it up because I put it slightly too forward, slightly too back, and it's all lopsided and rubbish. So anyway, so I'm going to get it on there and I'll show you once it's all fitted. Right, so I've just finished putting on the first side, so I'm just going to turn it around and show you guys exactly what it looks like. I think this looks absolutely sick. Get a load of that. Right, so first thing to note, silver fixings, don't worry, they are not staying like that. These are just temp. Probably go black or maybe purple anodized, I don't know, we'll see what happens. But have a look at that. Awesome. So it fits all the way around, absolutely perfect, all the way up to the back and around the back, same deal, all the way across. Now the only thing I've not done yet is cut out the inner section just here. Might do that tomorrow when this video goes live, but for the moment what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get the other side on, so we've got both sides, and I can go and grab some pictures just to make sure that it's all looking as it should. Sorry about that, in the garage. Let's get the light up a bit. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so I think that looks really cool. So yeah, so that's the first one done, so I'm just going to go on and do the other side, and then I'll catch you when both sides are on in a sec. Right, there we have it, both sides jobbed, looking pretty damn good, if I do say so myself. So all fitted up, all on, perfect. So I think these are the final shape. I think I've nailed it on all the curvature and stuff, kind of as you can see there, all the way nicely up the side. Same on the other side, but as I said, it's not the final material or process that's going to be used to make these. So now that I've got these, I'm going to keep them on the car for a little bit just as they are, because I think they look pretty good really, just as a first off prototype. And then what I'm going to do is, if anybody is actually interested in having a set themselves, and doing some silly stuff to Porsches like I do, then if you just want to hit me up on the DMs, then I can arrange to get some sets made up. There'll be like an early bird offer type thing where I'll do it for like a discounted price, and get them all made up for you. So anyway, so I'm going to end the video there. I'll probably chuck in a couple of still images of the car sort of outside, just as I give it a wash in a sec. So yeah, and I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.